Okay. What is going on, YouTube? It's Friday morning here. I don't know where you are on the planet right now, but I thought I'd come on today and do a little bit of a live stream just to cover some areas in regards to personal development. As you can see in the description, all the areas that I cover are certain topics like emotional fitness or intelligence. I cover communication skills, physical mastery, excuse me, muscle development, weight loss. Yeah, pretty much every area covering personal development or human development, whichever way you want to see it. I don't know where you are on the planet right now. Like I say, comment in the chat where you're listening from today. I'm really excited to be able to share some of this information with you today. So, not too sure how long I'm going to do this for, but we'll see, basically. So, it is just gone 8 a.m. here. I am in sunny, snowy Chicago right now. Just to give some perspective, I checked the weather today. It's about minus 20 degrees here Celsius. So yeah, pretty damn cold. But better weather is on the way. Like every season, like how we are as humans, there's seasons to life, right? So we're nearly the end of winter now. So just that last month to go through, then spring's going to come in, right? So, like I said, okay, let's get started, all right? I don't know what you're going through right now, personally. And the best thing about that is I don't really need to. Not because I don't want to, don't get me wrong. I do want to know what you're going through. Well, what I mean by that is things I'm going to show you right now for today, for this brief hour or two, whatever I'm going to do today, are hopefully going to be beneficial for you, right? Simply because not many people know the tools that, especially when it comes to emotions. Recently, I know a lot of people are struggling. Yeah, struggling like mentally, emotionally. The idea of me being here today is just to give some insight on that. Hopefully I can help in any way that I can, basically. So the tools I'm going to show you today, it may be worth getting a piece of paper and a pen to write down, because although you can refer back to this later on and as many times as you like, it's good to get it in the now where it belongs, right? So anything I put on today might be worth jotting down and saving for later, right? So without further ado, I just want to make sure I'm still good, right? Yeah, my mic's still on. It's looking good. Okay, yeah, we're still alive. Okay, cool. We're laughing. If it's not clear, guys, just let me know in the chat. All right. Like I say, I want to wait a minute just to get everything moving, just to get the most influence on people that I can. Even if I help one person today, I'm happy. All right, because sometimes in life, before I get into what I'm about to do and stuff, we get stuck. We kind of like our brain tricks us into thinking we shouldn't go for what we really want to in life, right? So sometimes, I have that myself a little bit. It's like, kind of, what's the point? Other people are doing it. There's no point in me doing it. There's already an audience doing it. Let's say that doesn't mean anything. You need to go for what you need to do. Yeah. If you got something that's so you got a passion about something, go for it. Okay. Don't just settle for what people tell you. Don't settle for all them beliefs. Yeah. You want to do something. You want to achieve something. Go for it. Trust me. I know it's difficult. I know it's hard. I know there's fear there. And, if you've got fear there, that's good. It just means you're human. It means that you're working correctly, believe it or not. You actually, your human nervous system, okay, isn't there, shall I say, your human nervous system, or what we are as now as humans, we're not here, the brain is not here to make you happy, okay? That's our job. There's a 2 million-year-old circuitry that we've got here, or just around 2 million. 5-year-old, where it's designed to pretty much see what's wrong. Okay? It's not there to make you happy. That's our jobs. Okay? By default, it's there to see what's wrong, not what's right. So the fact if you've got some fear there where you want to be going, it actually means you're working correctly. So don't make yourself wrong. Don't put yourself down for any of that. Okay? Hi there. How you doing? You all right, everybody? Again, don't make yourself wrong. Appreciate that you're having these feelings right now. Okay? So human beings, we have 5 senses. The only reason we can feel anything is through them 5 senses. Okay? So obviously those are sight, smell, touch, taste, and sound. Okay, so that's the only reason we can take any information in, all right? It's through them 5 senses because you've got this unique physical body that allows us to do that, right? So, but what determines what we feel on a regular basis is what we're going to go into right now. So the step number 1 I want you to remember, right, is on a consistent basis. Determines on what we focus on every day. Can you see that okay? Just about, it's not too bad. What if I turn this off? That's a little bit better, right? Hopefully. There's no glare. I could always use a red pen just to make sure there's no glare. So what you focus on a regular basis is fundamentally going to determine how you feel, okay? And your focus is controlled by multiple factors. Maybe a blue pen might work better for this. Bear with me, guys. Does blue look better? Focus, that's how you spell it. Maybe that does look better. Does that look better, guys? He's doing a crack with you. What? What do you mean? What's going on there, man? What do you mean a crack with you? Okay, your focus. Getting back to the point now. We determine many things, right? So what you focus on a regular basis is going to determine how you feel. So your focus is determined by a couple of things, right? Number 1, your focus. Number 1 is your body. Okay, and I want you to remember that for the rest of your life. I want this to become a part of your work for the rest of your life, right? So what you're doing with your physical body in every moment. What I mean by that is your facial expressions, your gestures, how you hold yourself on a regular basis, right? Determines pretty much however you feel. If I'll say to you right now, there's like a curtain here, and behind this curtain is a depressed person. And I want you to explain to me how they are physically alone. That's it. So how would the shoulders be? Down. How would the face be? Down. How would the breathing be? Full or shallow? Shallow. Why do you know this? It's because you've done it before, right? Now, don't get me wrong. We've all got a distinctive pattern of physiology. That's the fancy word. I put body on there just because everyone knows what that means, but the other word is physiology, right? We all have a unique pattern on how to get there. So some people would rather have deep, real deep, as in shallow breaths over, say, their physical. That's the pattern of different human beings, right? So I need you to recognize that more frequently on a regular basis, okay? Yeah, body. Sorry, my wire's a bit rubbish. So again, it's the number 1 advice I could give you for, like, if you're feeling rather rubbish on a regular basis, check how your body is, okay? So if you need proof of this, all I want you to do for 1 minute is just to stand like how I'm standing and breathe deeply for a couple of minutes and just put a big smile on your face. I know you might look a bit daft or silly, but who cares? No one else is watching, right? This is about you now, okay? Getting serious. Get serious. So stand there and put a big, huge smile on your face, and I want you to not change anything about your physical body. Just keep breathing, keep smiling, right? Okay? Hold that for a minute. And all you want to do is get depressed, but don't change anything about your physical body. And see what happens. Feels kind of weird, doesn't it, right? So the reason it feels weird is because there's a distinct physiology pattern to, like, say, depression or sadness. And by standing there smiling in a powerful state, there's a certain biochemistry you fire in your body, okay? It's impossible to feel it. It just doesn't work. You can't be depressed in that sort of state, all right? So that's number one, okay? Number two, is your speech. Sorry if my rhyme's a bit rubbish. I didn't do very well at school in rhymes. So, your speech, as in, like, what are you saying to yourself? Certain language that you're using that you say to yourself. What do you say to yourself on a consistent basis? Okay? Again, if you're using stuff like, you know, oh, what's the point? Oh, I'm feeling down all the time. Or, you know, oh, what's the point? All these other negative things, that has a knock-on effect against your body, you see. So as much as this is I call this like they call it like a triad in psychology. And the number three thing we do is the picture in your mind. Okay? These three make up the triad. So any emotion you feel on a regular basis is on the basis of these three things. Okay? Like I say, I'm sorry if it's not very clear. Maybe if I bring it that way a bit. Not really done, is it? That's a little bit better just for the glare. Okay? Whenever you're feeling anything, it's because of these three things that make up the triad. So again, what you picture in your mind is another thing. Your visualization, your internal world, okay? And your thoughts, which align with these. Again, your thoughts is another proxy of speech, let's say. What you're saying to yourself and stuff. So these three combined is going to create any emotion in the human physical body, which generates what you feel, okay? But if you start, say, with one of these over this first, it's quite difficult, you know, to be able to go, yeah, you know, you can change these things, but the best one to be able to change first is this. Changing someone's mind is very difficult, or changing your own mind is even more difficult, let's say, right? But you change your body, everything else will follow. Okay, so that's number one, is your focus. So once you've generated this, once you've got your focus, let's say, let's get rid of this now. You know, once you've generated your focus is there, okay, next thing you got to do with that focus, by the way, focus again is nothing more. Your thinking is nothing more, shall I say, than questions. Questions are the result of thinking on a regular basis. Whenever you're thinking about something, you're questioning it, no matter what. So in order to answer what I've just asked you there, you have to ask a question to yourself. Okay, I hope that proves a little bit. Oh, thanks, Jake. Thanks for keeping me updated. You can see me clear. Okay. Thanks for joining us, Jake. How you doing? Once your focus has been determined, you then have to come up with something very important. Okay? And again, take notes, please. So those three together, like I've just mentioned before, you then have to generate a meaning. Okay, what does this mean? Is this the end or the beginning for you? Is this the start or the end? Sorry, saying it again. Whenever you put a meaning to something, that goes to the next step, which is what you are going to do. And sometimes, by proxy, at least sometimes it means by doing nothing at all, unfortunately. Do you know what I mean? So I just wanted to make this aware first before we go any further, okay? Because I don't know about you guys, okay, but it's real quick. I don't know if you're in the same position as me where you leave the school environment, okay, as much as important I think it is, to learn your ABCs, your 1, 2, 3s, all the rest of it. And then when it comes to a point where calculus and learning what an isosceles triangle is comes into play, and you just kind of think, what is all this about, man? Like I say, it has its place, but then it gets to a point where it's like, well, this is kind of redundant now. Unless you're in certain criteria. Let's say if you're going to be a doctor or something, okay, fair enough. You need to learn this kind of stuff, right? But this is all to line up with what career path you want to go into, which, in my opinion, should be enforced more. Now, don't get me wrong, I understand when you're younger, you don't really understand where you want to be going in life. Like, who does? I mean, I'm 33 years of age now, and it's still like, oh, am I going in the right direction? Maybe, maybe not. But I like to think I know more now than I did when I was 16, let's say. Because I come from a school from England, let's say, and we left school at 16. You leave school at 16, it's kind of like, okay, what now? But we don't really leave school with all the emotional help, none of the mental help, none of the financial help, none of the communication help, all the stuff that actually leads a directed mind, which is the most important thing on the planet, in my opinion. You got to remember this stuff for the rest of your life. So what I feel like I'm doing right now is I'm teaching this kind of stuff that's more important, but not less. Not a lesser, if that makes sense. I'm not saying anything's worth more. I'm not saying anything worth less. All I'm saying is the information that I've learned over these many years has been more valuable to me than ever, especially in regards to emotional health. Do you know what I mean? So the next thing I wanted to talk about is why. Another question I get asked often is like, why do the rich stay rich, the poor stay poor, and all this rest of it all? And and I'm going to try and explain that to you right now. Okay, why that happens, let's say. I'm going to really quickly try and dim some of that glare for us. Let's see if I can turn that a bit. How's that looking? Oh, that's a little bit better, isn't it? Okay. We'll try it. Okay, so here we go then. Okay, so I'm going to give you the pattern now of how so-called the rich stay rich, poor stay poor. Poor starts from a mindset. Okay, poverty, believe it or not, as harsh as it sounds, is a mindset, let's say. Okay, I know it sounds a bit like redundant, but stay with me, guys. Stay with me. I'm not being egotistic, I promise. Right? But this is the pattern I want you to remember. And this is why the successful people get successful versus why some. Sorry if you can't read anything. I know you've just said that you can't read anything. I'm going to give you the pattern now, okay? So here it is, okay? So with this one side, I'm going to make sure this is super clear for you guys, okay? Okay. Okay, just bear with me, guys. I'm going to put this down here so I can explain in much detail. Okay. Here you have right here. That's quite clear for you guys. That's a little bit clearer, right? Yeah. Here you have the pattern of the successful people. Okay. Right, so I'm going to explain that now to you, why this is relevant and why I want you to remember this. What's the potential of a human being? I'll ask you right now. What is the potential of a human being? Unlimited, right? If you put your mind to something and you really want it, that plus passion, what can we achieve? Anything, Okay, you know what I mean? Realistically, you achieve anything you want. You put a mind to it. With, of course, some limitation, but what that limitation is, I do not know. So, let's say we have little potential. Potential, let's start with the weaker mindset, let's say, or the poor, let's say, mindset. If you don't feel you got much potential, and you take little action, what does that do to your result? Next to nothing, right? Okay. And what does that do to your belief? Belief being your mind goes, see, I told you this wouldn't work. I told you it's going to be like, yeah, see, I knew this weren't going to work. Just reinforces the behavior. Thus, what does this do to your potential? Bang, through the floor again. This is a cycle that just feeds on itself. This is just like a sucker that just keeps feeding on itself. The path to negativity, that's what that is. Okay? So in short, okay, what, I need to mirror in the camera. Oh, it's switched. Yeah, sorry, dude. I know it's switched, but you have to bear with me. I'm sorry about that. Why is it doing that? You're trying. It is mirrored. Thank you for bringing that to my awareness, though. Appreciate that. Okay, I've got an idea, I think. That should be better, right? Thank you for bringing it to my attention, though. That's better, right? How's that, guys? That's a lot better, isn't it? Excellent. Okay, carrying on. As I was saying, this sucker just feeds on itself, okay? So a lot of people try and just take a bunch of action when really they don't even know what they want. Do you know what I mean? If that makes sense, their potential is so little, it's like, well, it's not so little, it's just that they're not telling themselves enough, that they're kind of like going, yeah, I want to achieve this, but I'm not good enough. Which again reverts back to what I was talking about a minute ago with like language and stuff. So you see how these kind of intertwine, right? But now all we need to do though, I know this seems a bit complicated, but in order to shift that focus and shift that mindset, I want you to start from a different sequence pattern, right? This is what the successful people do, okay? Here we go, listen to me now, okay? They start with the result in their heads. They live like they've already achieved. Does that make sense? The reason you want something, the reason you want to get to somewhere, let's say, is because you think it's going to give you this feeling. It could be feelings of happiness, joy, or whatever it is. It's because it could just be something you wanted to achieve. It's going to give you some fulfillment in life. It's going to give your life some meaning. Like you being here means something, right? But realistically, what there really is, what you're really saying to yourself, is basically, I know how I would live if I was to get that result, but I'm holding myself back. It's like saying, well, I'm not gonna live in that way until I get there, if that makes sense. You kind of hold yourself back how you would live. Why? Live how you would live now. Yeah, you might be held back by financial things. You might be held back by other restrictions and say, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is you're going to live in a way, especially emotionally, you're going to live in a way where you're going to wake up every day feeling abundant and happy, at least at a minimum. So start there first. That's the difference. So you start with a great result in your mind, living the way you would be living, like you've achieved it already, if that makes sense. And this is something I tried myself, and this does work. It's like you live in a way, and by proxy, you kind of just force that on, if that makes sense. You kind of like speak to the universe, so to say, and it will come to fruition and all that kind of thing. But this actually works because you're actually forcing your mind to think in a way where you've achieved it before actually your physical body is in line with it, let's say. Okay? So when you've got this great result in your mind and you're living in a way where you think you've got it, but you have got it by proxy because you're not holding yourself back anymore, what does that do to your belief? Now your brain shows you something different. It goes, oh, see, I told you it would work. I told you this would work that way. What does that do to your potential? Boom, goes through the roof. You won't believe how your potential will go through the roof because now you start thinking better. You've got the result. The belief's there. Your potential goes up because these are in line with each other. And the action that you take will follow. Thus, achieving what you want. Yeah. So just a little trick, guys. The next time you want to see a result or you want to achieve something, start in there first. Don't hold yourself back, guys. Don't go to yourself, well, I'll wait in the someday. Someday never comes around, let me tell you. It won't. If you're living in the Sunday every day saying, someday I'll do this, or someday I'm going to start at the gym, or someday I'm going to eat healthy, it will never come around. It just won't. Living in the someday is just an excuse to not take action, basically. Okay? And again, I hope you can remain open, guys. That's all I ask for today, is that you remain open and everything I say. Before you start either thinking, like let your brain take over and commenting straight whether this is wrong or this is right, take it away first. Absorb the information. Don't say a word. Just keep it in, take notes if you need to. Calculate it, go over it, come back to it later on, watch again if you need to, then make an assessment. It might make more sense to you, because in the moment, I might be like pushing on people's beliefs and people's thought patterns that I understand. Sometimes I can be hard to break, right? So everything that I've learned to this day and everything I kind of teach now is all the things that's helped me, through like psychology and different things. And it's kind of stuff that I'm trying to teach other people because I understand there's a massive crisis right now with just like everyone's mental health is just through the floor. Everywhere I go somewhere, someone's talking about it. So there's why I'm doing this now, because I want to help everyone. I want to be able to help you guys. There's nothing worse than feeling crappy on a regular basis. Nothing worse, And one of the main things, I was speaking to someone the other day, and I'm not going to say it is, of course, because I respect these people and I'm not going to out them. But I like to make this aware because it's quite a common pattern. They're not the only people I've seen saying this. Is this statement, right? And that is, I feel like, Tom, I really want to change, but I feel like I've lived the best life of my life already. These people are like 25 years old, right? And if your belief is that you've already lived your best life, how's that going to make you feel? It's going to make you feel, what's the point in doing anything? I can understand that saying, look, listen, man, I understand how you're feeling. Your feeling's completely valid, bearing in mind. But it's not on the basis of truth at all. You're being super harsh on yourself. How do you know you've had those years, for one? That's what I had to say to him. I was like, how do you know that? How do you know you've had the best years? You don't know yet. You've not been there. He's like, well, I just kind of feel it. It just kind of feels like the best years are gone, And I'm like, well, okay, I understand that. I understand how you're feeling that way. And I think most people can relate to that to some aspects. You only know as well as you can do today. Do you know what I mean? You don't know what's ahead of the future unless you plan it, or like I say, I like to say, map it, map your way to the future. You need to guide your way there. Okay. So let's move on then. Okay. Let's move on to something more, or not more, but let's just keep cracking, guys, because I want to give as much information to you as I can in the short period of time that I can do this for a little bit. But I don't know how long we'll do this for, but I'm going to make sure that everything is looking okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay. We're still looking good. Okay, guys. I'm just going to pull that back a tiny bit like this. Okay. So let's move on to some emotional anatomy now. Okay. So out of all the emotions out there, right? If I was to ask you how many emotions could a human feel? Take a good guess and comment in the chat before I'll tell you how many there is. Have a guess. How many emotions can a human being feel on a regular basis or in a lifetime? Okay. Let's have a good guess. Is it 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 1,000, 25, 50? Just have a real good guess. This is how many emotions that humans can feel. Over 25,000. And I'm not joking. You can look this up. You can feel on a regular basis in your lifetime this many emotions. Okay? Now, psychologists and psychiatrists have narrowed them down because a lot of them are quite similar, don't get me wrong. I agree with this. They've narrowed it down to human emotions to 27, okay? 27 total emotions you can feel in your lifetime, okay? 27. And they base what you feel on a regular basis, or let's say on a weekly basis. This is the average, which I'm not sure if I agree with or not, but on average, we feel about 12 in a week, which would make sense, right? I guess 12 emotions in a week. Okay. Now, if I was to say to you, what is your 12? Because once I understand your 12, I can understand where you are on a regular basis. I can tell how your life is from your 12 emotions. Okay? So if you've got, like, say, so we're going to have the basis of 12. Let's say we've got 12 emotions on a regular basis in a week. And to be honest, I don't think most people feel 12. I think they feel less. I think we are much restricted on that. I think it's more like half that. I think it's more like 6. And half of them, over half, way over half, are bad ones or negative. No such thing as bad ones. Sorry, I correct myself there. There isn't a bad emotion, by the way. Okay? The reason we label them bad is because we're not getting the message that they're trying to give us. Okay? Important to remember that. All of your negative emotions, okay? What we call negative, let's say. Okay, let's just put it up here. Negative emotions. Hopefully I'm spelling everything right. All of your negative emotions, right, are signals to change. That's what they are. They're emotional switches or signals. Okay? That's all I want you to remember this, guys. It's a signal. Okay? It's giving you a signal. Let's say if you've got some sort of, I don't know, whatever a negative one you were going to call, whether it be anger, frustration, depression, sad, all will dissipate or become much more easy to deal with once you get the message it's trying to give you. The problem is we're not getting the message, so we just keep going over it. So your body's going, hey, change, and we're not taking the message on board. That's why it starts to affect your whole body, your whole biochemistry. Because your body's going, hey, you need to change something. Something needs to change, okay? And that's why it starts screwing up your body a little bit. It's because we're not getting the message. The body, it tries to push it even more, okay? So as long as you get quick the message it's trying to give you, appreciate it. Don't make it bad. Don't make it wrong. Just accept it and kind of say, okay, what is this emotion trying to give you right now? Okay, guys. So next time you feel something, what you deem as negative, just ask yourself, what message has it got for you right now? And the most common two, believe it or not, one of the most common two right now that are thriving everywhere, and it's kind of like the new pandemic, if you like. It's not even an epidemic, it's another pandemic. The major two right now are definitely by far depression and anxiety. They're the biggest two. Okay? Depression is a focus lived in the past. Anxiety is living in the future. Okay? Yeah? Rule of thumb. Not every time. Okay? Bear with me. Okay? Any emotion, when you look at it, it kind of looks like, I'm not going to write them all on here, because I ain't got enough room for the 27, for one. But I'm just going to give you a brief outline of the two major emotions that everyone always it goes back to by proxy. And this is emotional anatomy. And this, like I mentioned at the start of this, is the stuff that's not taught to you at school or us. It's not taught to us. This is why it's so confusing for everyone. They don't know. We don't know. I did not know. I had to look into everything when it comes to human psychology and human development just to really see, okay, what does this really mean? You know, so we take those 27 emotions that I just mentioned, okay? How should I explain this one? Okay. Let's start with what the major two emotions are, or emotional messages, let's say. Let's call them that from now on. Not negative, or negative emotions that are signals or messages. Let's call them that. Let's call them calls to action. Whatever you want to call them, it's fine. One of those two things, so you'll always remember it next time you feel bad, that it's a signal that you need to change, just to remind you again. Signal something needs to change, whatever it's bad, or you deem it's bad. Because realistically, there's no such thing as a bad one. You know? It's a 2 million-year-old brain. We need to come out the default. Okay? Default is seeing what's wrong rather than what's right. That's what the brain does. It's not there to make you happy. As I mentioned at the start, it's there to make you survive. Okay? So the way we come out of that is understanding this. Okay? So the major two that every emotion comes back to, negative ones. Okay? Here we go, guys. We're in it now. The major two, I want you to always remember. A feeling of hurt or a feeling of loss. Every time. Now, there's some very rare cases where it's not, but usually it's one of these two or both. And I'll try and prove that to you right now. Okay? Then we're going to check, make sure we're all good. Yeah, we're all good. Okay. I'm going to prove that to you right now. Let's say somebody said something, or somebody did something, let's say, or and instantly made you feel a certain way, let's say. And initially, we forget about these, and we jump normally straight to what? Normally it's anger. You know, we normally jump straight to anger. Forgetting these two. It kind of by proxy revert. No, we can't do this. These are vulnerable. So I need to show this anger. Okay? But realistically, the reason you're angry is because this person's either hurt you or gave you a sense of loss. A sense of hurt or a sense of loss, or both. So usually it's like, if I say, okay, that person made you angry, how do you really feel? What is he really feeling? That's what we want to identify, what we're really feeling. So if you always remember, this is what helped me a lot as well. It's like, okay, you're feeling this negative thing, say you get angry about something. It's like, okay, I'm feeling angry right now, which is valid, by the way. Don't make it wrong. Again, don't make any of your emotions wrong. Everything that you always feel is always right. Okay? There's a reason, like I say, there's a signal there. There's a reason you're feeling it. Don't make it wrong. Appreciate the message it's trying to give you. You could be angry because You thought you had this respect for this person, or this person had respect for you. Oh, well, then I've lost their respect. See? Or I was hurt by what they said. But we like to defend ourselves and jump straight to anger. We forget about these and jump straight to this because this is a more appropriate emotion at the time. And it probably is, because it's like, you know what? I can't show you that I'm hurt, so I'm going to get angry. I'm sure you guys have at least experienced that a little bit. I know I have. It's hard to say in the moment, that's for sure, to go, you know what? I was just hurt by what that happened, though, or what they said or did. And by proxy, I now feel like I've lost respect or lost that love or lost that friendship or lost that trust, whatever it is. It normally reverts to one of these two or both. Yeah? So remember that next time confrontation may happen or something negative comes across in your life, there's probably usually going to be one of these two or both. But it makes it a lot easier. Again, we don't need to jump to this straight away. And the more this is practiced, trust me, at the start, it's a lot more difficult. Because we're so used to like a computer, like our brain operates as a computer, we're so used to going, okay, what's this anger? I know this, bang, that's our emotional home. Like I say, if that's one of your 12 emotions you feel on a regular basis, and it's quite high, you feel that every day, let's say, you're going to immediately jump to this and forget about these. But I want you to train yourself to be able to say, you know what, even if you spend an hour in this to start, or whatever, half a day even, whatever it takes, and then eventually you come to this. Good, that's great job, because then next time you've got that practice. Again, it takes training to get this kind of stuff. It takes some time. Okay? So just because you don't get this stuff straight away, give it some time. Because what happens is you make this you gotta imagine, right? So you make this slight shift. Doesn't seem much, right? If I'm going in this direction and I want to make a change, if I do this is too immediate. I might crash, I might hurt some people along the way, some people I care about potentially, let's say metaphorically right now. If I do that immediate switch like this, one, it's going to be painful for me, it's going to be painful for everyone else. But if I just do this, slight turn here. And again, this path that I was originally on is here, coming right to here, and I do this little shift, it doesn't seem like I'm moving a lot. Does that make sense? But this is something else here, what you're not allowing for. This little gap here, lag time. Yeah? You allow for lag. Give yourself that time to come out of the proxy or default, okay? So rather than you going like this, which, again, no change, you do that slight twist here, slight turn. That's all it takes sometimes. It doesn't seem like it's going anywhere. It's like, it's not working. And then eventually, boom, you'll be in it, okay? That's a good word, metaphor to give you there. That's to be kind to yourself. Remain open. Keep pushing for this. Keep striving for more. You deserve it, okay? You don't deserve to feel rubbish or crappy on a regular basis, okay? You deserve to feel great all the time, okay? If no one's ever told you that, I'm telling you now. You deserve more. And that's what I'm trying to give you today, all right? So I hope these topics are already giving you some form of knowledge or something to be able to take on board already, okay? Again, I could write down, that's a good word, it's a simpler way to explain. I can go into more detail than that. I want to get to the point and just give, like I say, give the most valuable stuff I can to you right now. If I was to write down all the emotions here, you would see exactly how this would line. It'd all line up to you. It makes sense to you if you saw it down, but I'm not going to do that right now. One, I ain't got enough room. You probably won't be able to read it, so sorry, guys. But, if I follow your anger, let's say, it'll take me to your deepest fear, or it's like, you can channel that within someone, right? Let's say, like, okay, what if that doesn't work out? Well, then I won't get this. And say, okay, what if that doesn't? Okay, then what? They go, well, then I won't this. And it's like, okay, well, then what? And you keep channeling that. It will take me to your deepest fear, which is usually, well, I won't feel loved, or I won't feel like my life means anything. There it is. That's what you're really feeling. not all this other stuff that's like subsiding, that trying to protect you. It's really just okay, look, I'm fearful that I'm not going to be cared for, or no one's going to care for me if I don't get this. Or, okay, that's great. That's good. That's honest. I can appreciate that. What you're saying there. It's kind of like, may not be correct, because I'm sure there's people in your lives that are always going to care for you no matter what. So just keep that in mind. I always say to myself as well, like, no one wants a half version Tom. I know I don't. I don't want anyone to be able to come up to me and be like, well, yeah, you got a half version of you. It's like, no, I want 100% me. I don't want to ever come across as like a half-assed version, let's say, or you want to be 100% you. Okay. So talking on that topic, 100% you and a half version of one emotion, as I mentioned a minute ago, that's completely demobilizing, is of course depression. Yeah. There's many reasons why people will feel depression. Okay. I'm just double checking here, guys, that we're still in. Okay, yeah, we're still in. There's many reasons why we'll feel depressed or get in a depressed state, let's say. And believe it or not, again, depression is normally where your body's basically saying that I can't live this way anymore. If that makes sense. I can't put on this facade any longer. Okay? Normally it's because you're holding something back. You're holding yourself back, or someone who you need to be, and it's not being fulfilled or pushed, let's say. So oftentimes, guys, anything that is suppressed, okay, will lead to being depressed. So I'm right, it's all over the place, I'm sorry. But if you've got anything that's suppressed, you're holding something in, let's say, holding yourself back, will lead to depress. Okay? So the way out of this is the opposite, which makes sense once you know it. The opposite to being suppressed is, you guessed it, express. So I don't know if it's two P's, but just don't worry about the spelling too much. Express. You need to express who you really are. Go out there. Be who you're supposed to be. You need to become the person you think you should be. Because whilst you're trying to keep this character who you think you ought to be, or people should think you should be, it's going to become a suppression. And again, emotional anatomy, suppression will always lead to depression. Every time. It just will. It's a biochemical approach. There's just no way around it. Okay. And once I understood this, I was like, oh wow, okay. That actually makes complete sense to me. They're all kind of the same family: suppress, depress, express. Kind of makes sense, So anything that's not expressed, especially in the human physiology, will come out as this eventually. Maybe not short term, but long term, anything suppressed will definitely become this. Okay. So again, that's one of the major things to understand about that. Keep that in mind, guys. If you do kind of have that on a regular basis, you feel depression on a regular basis, or even sadness, let's say, because they're quite similar. Sadness is kind of like, they're completely different. Sorry, they are. It's nowhere near alike. One side is like a general feeling. The other side is like a deep feeling, let's say. Sadness is general. Everyone can feel sad. We can all feel sad. People can get sad on many things. But to be depressed, that's kind of, that's a certain physiology state. As I mentioned at the start of this, depend on your body again. Your physiology will determine how you feel. Thus, if you have a depressed body state, then you're going to feel completely different what it would be compared to sadness, let's say. Sadness is kind of down, but not the same. It's kind of a different approach. And again, we all have different ways of getting there. You have your way, we all have my way, or whatever. We're similar, but there's certain unique patterns we will do, which is when you've been around someone long enough, you'll see their patterns. Like, understanding life is understanding the seasons of life. We understood that a long time ago. The planet has seasons. Our winters sometimes long, yes. Our summer's sometimes really warm, yes. Depending where you're from. In England, probably not. But it's true, There's seasons to life. So just because it's winter, and don't get me wrong, some winters seem long, some are real long. And sometimes they feel like they're never going to end, but it does. Eventually it will come around because it's a season, Same thing of how you're feeling. Once you've given yourself that time to really come out and express yourself and do the internal work that's required, which will be in the following videos, which I hope you guys will channel into more. But, there comes a time as well where you have to see that sometimes in winter, some people ski whilst others freeze. They utilize their environment. In the summer, some people burn. Some people go in the shade. Some people put sun cream on. Some people go swimming. So just as much as the seasons to the planet, the seasons to humans as well. And again, sometimes the summers feel short, winters feel long. That's just because a powerful negative emotion will override any kind of low frequency, kind of like good feeling. So if you feel on a regular basis, guys, let's say, like, let's just take a couple of emotions here. You feel depressed, anger, frustration. These are quite intense words, aren't they? And they are quite intense emotions. Yeah, and you put that against something that's like what? If you say you're content to yourself, or, I don't know, kind of happy, or fine. That's the worst E on the planet. There you go, that's better. You try and override these emotions with these, it just ain't going to happen. Because these are a very high, positively, negatively charged emotion, if that makes sense. Whilst these are a very positive, low charged emotions. So these are going to override these every time. Does that make sense? So, because the most powerful one will always override the other. So sometimes it's just about changing your frequency of emotions, understanding and sitting down and really writing down what you feel on a regular basis. Sit down, write down in a week what you feel, not what you feel every now and then. Put down what you feel on a day-to-day basis, right? Once you've got them 12 down, or how many ones you do feel on a regular basis, separate them, what you would deem negative and positive. Because sometimes your negative ones can be positive, bearing in mind. But that involves a bit of a deeper thinking, and the deeper thinking and a little bit difference in there with human development and people who kind of act differently. Some people will see negative as positives, but sometimes they're correct, sometimes they're not. Again, I'm going off topic there. But once you've written them down, I say 12 because that's what on average we feel. But if you don't feel any up to that, that's fine. Let's say you only feel like 8, you only think of that or whatever. You separate them, like I say, and see where you're at. Because once you've got these down, you can understand now where you go to, what your emotional home is. And by emotional home, what I mean by that, guys, is they're your go-to emotions. They're the emotions that you go to every time. That's like your home. Again, it's not too hard to see once you've got this down. It sounds super simple, I know, but once you do this, that's where you can able to add in some more. Again, you've got 27 to choose from. You know, you got 27 to choose from that you can implement now. It's probably stuff you never knew you could feel, right? Because words, as we know, have a power to them. Once you got there, like I say, I encourage you to do that as a task. Write them down and then let me know in the comments what your emotions are. I'd love to hear it. Love to get a chat going, a support system in like this in this video. Tell me. I'd love to hear what different people feel. You know, tell me your story. You know, we can all be in this together. Okay. The other thing I want to speak about, something very interesting when I'm now just reminding myself about words and stuff, right? So I know someone, and this got me thinking one time a couple of years back, and it intrigued me. And it actually made me think more, as in like, okay, that actually makes a lot of sense. And it kind of brought me out of myself. And what that was, I was speaking to someone, one of my friends, kind of a close friend, you know, and we're speaking one time, and I've known this person for a very long time, pretty much since I was like 10 years old, right? And was chatting away, and he's always amazed me on how much like full of life this person is. You know, I've always got on with this person, and you know, I always admired that it doesn't seem to feel any negative. I'm not saying that he doesn't, of course he does, but one time I had to ask him, I said, hey, listen, look, I want to ask you something. It might seem a bit weird, and it might seem a bit like, you know, redundant, let's say, but I'm just curious because you never seem down. You never seem like, you know, anything like, you never seem to feel anything anxious. And he was doing something that would deem, I was like, you know, most people, that what you're doing there, it's amazing. Don't get me wrong. I think it's brilliant. And most people would push to try and do what you're doing there. But most people would be riddled with anxiety and absolutely through the roof of like apprehension and just being like, oh, I don't know, I can't do that. You know, I need more planning, or I need to schedule that more, etc. You know. And I said to him, do you not feel anxiety or anything like that? Like, do you not, you know, does that not make you anxiety ridden? And this is where he said something. He says, you know what, Tom, no, I don't. He says, you know what, I don't use that word at all. Oh, kind of clicked my mind there. And I was like, you know what? You just got me thinking. Is it possible? Okay. After everything we just mentioned now, is it possible, guys? Again, this is my own theory now. And probably someone else has done this. I say it's mine, but this is just from my experience, right? Is it possible that if we do not use the words, then maybe we cannot feel it? Right? As I mentioned here, the use of these words have power to them, right? And if this is what we're using on a regular basis, no wonder we're feeling it. Okay? So if it's not in our vocabulary or internal dialect, I like to say, or internal wording, then do we have a chance to even experience that emotion? It would explain to why some people do not fulfill all the emotions like the 27, because they don't tap into it, because they've never had the experience of having that, you know, them words. It's just never crossed their mind. They've never used it. So the other question is also, if we do experience this, are we able to remove it? I say yes. But the way you do that, again, is you don't just remove it and forever get rid of it. You have to replace it with another empowering one. But not just any powerful one. It's got to be something that is powerful enough to override that. So say you want to change frustration to excitement, you know? Because some negative emotions are very similar to positive ones, right? So let's say, I like to use the example of being on a roller coaster. You know, you say you're at a theme park or something with your friends. You're at, say, Six Flags in the USA or Alton Towers if you're in the UK, let's say. And you're there, you remember if you're a kid or something, you know, you're there, you're like, oh my God, it's so exciting in the queue, you know, with your buddies or mates and whatever. there's a little bit of fear there, but there's also a little bit of anxiety and like a little bit of excitement there. Okay. But again, this reverts back to your physical body again, right? So if you just imagine it, you're there with your friends and it's kind of like them two are kind of similar. So if you just create some tension in your body right now, you just create some tension, there's naturally a little bit of like weird feeling of like fear. If you just do this and do nothing to your gesture, let's say you create tension, just hold it. And as the time goes on, you're just going to feel this kind of tense feeling. But all I want you to do now, this little experiment you can do, is create that same tension, but put a huge smile on your face as you do it. Biochemically, it changes, right? And that's exactly the same thing. So sometimes you may feel like it's going to be like anxiety, but really it's kind of excitement. So again, another thing to keep on track, guys, just to see if it's excitement you're not feeling, or maybe a bit of both. Because sometimes they can be very, very close. And what determines that is your internal world, because realistically, that thousands of people or hundreds of people are going to go on this fair ride today or roller coaster, let's say, and you're going to be fine. But if you're going against like a saber-toothed tiger, different story. The only difference is the internal world going, oh my God, I need to run away from this. Or realistically, I feel scared, but there's thousands of people that go on this every day. There's safety checks. We're going to be fine. But it's still that thrill, which is, thrill seekers admiring that kind of experience, don't they? If you're a thrill seeker, you're going to love that on the edge of being on the edge of in danger, but it's not enough to really have anything against your life, But again, that's just another way of just comparing that sometimes it can be one against the other. You might be feeling both, let's say, but there's going to be one predominantly one, okay? Okay, that's the hour mark. Again, this has been fun to do my first live stream like this. Kind of enjoyed it so far. But for those anyone who's still here, I hope it's been helpful for you. I hope you can take away some of what I've presented here today. I do plan to do more, of course, so subscribe and like the video, save it for later. Revert back to it if you need to, of course. And again, if you want to comment anything in regards to what we spoke about today, or general things and what you're feeling as well, I'd love to hear it. I'd love to hear your story. Like I say, I love to get like a collective together, let's say, because you're not alone in any of this, we're all in this together. That's my mentality in this. You are worthy. So these feelings, if you're having some bad feelings right now, or feeling some negative emotion, you just feel on the edge, let's say, just know that there's people out there that do care about you. They do. It may come across in different ways. Some people might get frustrated with you. They might get angry because you feel in a certain way because of the actions that are presented through what you're feeling. So you act out on these, right? It's completely normal. But people may get frustrated with you and you might feel bad later on, let's say. But really, there's a lot of people that do care for you, okay? And you have meaning on this planet. Whilst you've got a heartbeat, you have a reason to be here, okay? And you owe it to yourself and everyone you care for to go for what you really want in life. I don't know where you're at right now. Again, I don't know where you're at mentally. I don't know where you're at. I don't know what your story is. I don't know what you've been through. But again, everything that I've spoken about today, that's the good thing about this. I don't need to know because this could be utilized by anyone, okay? So I'm hoping that I can be like a beacon for you to be able to come back to. And you can see to my other videos what I've covered as well, okay? So this is something I want to be doing more on a regular basis. So I hope this is going to give some value to you guys. If it is, give me a thumbs up, So again, I just want to be able to come here and project, if you like, just to give some value rather than just come on here and just kind of talk. That just actually give some good information, stuff that I've been learning for over 12 years now that's helped me. So sometimes it's about taking the information and maybe adapting it to how you are as a person, let's say. So everything I might say might not 100% always work for you. You might just tweak it a little bit. Great, you know? So, and I have a thing that I keep saying to myself that keeps me on track. Whenever I feel like I'm, what's the point? If I ever find myself in that pattern of thought, I have a saying that I say to myself, and that is do it for the one. Yeah. If I could help one person or save one person, my job is good. My job is done. I'm happy with that. Excuse me. So that's what I say to myself. I say, Tom, do it for the one. Do it for that one person. Even if one person watches this and they go, you know what? That helps me. That helped me today. Great. I'm fulfilled. That means that the information that I have learned that's helped me has helped someone else. I'm happy about that. Even more so on the higher level, if I could save someone's life. If I saved your life today, brilliant. And again, I don't know how long I'm going to be doing this for, but maybe I should go for a little bit longer. Okay. Maybe I'll do a little bit longer. Okay. Maybe we'll do another 10 minutes, let's see. Oh, man. Okay. Okay, let's see now. I'm just making sure everything's still lined up, guys. That's all. Okay. What else can we talk about that's going to potentially finish up today? So I mentioned about obviously loss and hurt being the major two emotions. That's what we can take away. That's something we can do. We can recap on what we have, I guess, gone over today. And that is now you understand whatever you focus on will determine what that means. And by meaning, what something means, when you've created a meaning in your mind, whatever you feel like something, they did this, so that means this. And something I forgot to mention at the start of this video is when I was mentioning meaning, because I was kind of all over the place, so I'm sorry about that, guys. It's my first live stream. I want you to remember this quote, okay, referring to meaning. And that is, nothing has any meaning except the meaning I give it. Okay? That translates to basically, we create the meaning. Let's just take an example. Well, John did this, so that means this. You create that meaning. We don't know that for sure. Probably true, but somewhere along the line, we could change that meaning in ourselves. We can, that doesn't mean that at all. Because I don't know about you, but my brain or the human brain is very good at making up crap in your head. So put your hand up if you're good at making crap in your head. That's me as well. I mean, we can all do it. We just make a rubbish that means nothing on the head, and we can go, that's a bunch of crap. What am I talking about? It doesn't even mean that. What am I on about? I need to give this person more credit, or chances are this person was being malicious, let's say. But you can still change the meaning. So, you know what? This person maybe was being malicious, but I decide how I feel. I'm in control, not them. I get to decide how I feel from this. They don't tell me how I feel. I tell me how I feel. Yeah? That's what I wanted to add just onto the meaning. And obviously your focus determines what it means. And the meaning will go to what you do. And by doing is meaning as in what you do, the action you're going to take. Again, it's like if someone does this, that makes a meaning. It's like, well, that means this. Is at the end or the beginning? That would, if something's the end versus the beginning, will completely determine what you're going to do. If something's the end, you're going to act the same as you would at the start. Let's say you're going into a relationship. Are you going to act the same as at the start of the relationship as you did at the end? No way. You're going to be completely different, So, again, they're the three major factors that we've spoken about today. And I think I covered all the topics there. Okay, on that. We understand now that you feel or can feel up to 27 emotions. Okay? And they've been subcategorized from the 25,000 plus, you know, because some of them are so similar by structure that they went, you know what, we need to get a short list. So a short list was created just to make it a bit more easier because, like I say, some are so similar that it's like, well, these two are pretty much the same. We may as well subcategorize them into like that, you know. So I hope you guys really actually take the time to write down what you feel on a regular basis throughout the week. Again, if you're going to do that activity, write down what you feel in a week on a consistent basis. Okay, not what you feel once in a while, on a consistent basis. Write them down, day to daily, preferably. You know, what you feel on every day is consistent. Okay, not something that you feel once a month. That's not consistent enough. That's like, okay. So, because you have to allow for certain experiences that's going to happen that's out of your control, right? So some things are going to come across into your mind that you might think that felt like you feel it every day, but you didn't. You felt it once, and now it's kind of like, okay, that was bad. It's from an experience, but I don't feel that now. But I can talk about it. But that can be confused. So I just want you to be very clear on that, guys. If you're going to do this, be super specific. Sorry. Because then you can find out exactly where you go on a regular basis if something happens to you, let's say. And you can be able to see now if you have any more negative than positive. So let's say if you have more negative ones, okay? If you have more negative ones, don't beat yourself up. A lot of people will go to default to go like, oh, you know what? I'm so bad. And again, goes back to your focus again, your internal language, and understand that. Try and break your pattern a little bit to say, oh, no, don't say that. Okay, look, this is just where I'm at now. You know, now I know this information, I can now change this. And then you could just sort of look up some like really good emotions that you do want to feel, stuff that you've not felt before. You know, if you haven't felt happy before, let's say, maybe time to influence that now and put that into and establish that as in your new emotional home and decide. The way you do it is you decide to take it on board. I'm not going to feel this way anymore. I'm not going to put up with it. And that is a way of raising your standards. I guess that's what I'm asking you to do. I'm asking you to raise the bar in your own efforts, right? You raise the standards by eradicating certain beliefs in yourself to say, is this a real belief or not? If it isn't, time to get rid of it and put a new one in that is going to push you even further as a human being, you know. But yeah. And I probably will finish that on that note now. So I hope, guys, this has helped you. I do plan to do more of this on a regular basis. And again, if as much time as you need to do this, you can review it as much as you need to. Okay? And I think that's about it. But I just want to acknowledge you for actually coming on today and just taking the time to watch, even if it was just for a short time, you know, and you can watch it again in your own time. And if there's anything else, any certain topics you want me to cover, put in the comments. You know, is certain emotions that you're struggling with, or certain experiences you want to overcome, or certain things you want to do or improve your relationships, comment it down and I will do a video about it if I get enough of the similar topic, and I'll be able to help you there, I hope. So yeah, take care, guys, and I will see you in the next video. So thanks for coming in. Don't forget to subscribe and like the video. And yes, thank you for spending your time with me today. Have a great weekend, and I will see you again.